Yakuza, like their control over Pride and all that. What was their relationship with Pride, and was that the demise of Pride their relationship with Pride?
Yeah, Pride. I mean, like any big company in Japan, they're all associated with the Yakuza.
So it's like if like when you're talking about a business, if a business tries to open up in Japan, do they somehow control all this? Like you have to go through them. Like is was it that controlled at that time, or was it only bigger
Well,
companies? Like how did they control it?
well, if you're opening up a business in the territory of a Yakuza family, it's almost procedure that you make either like you say make your greetings to them, and a lot of times you have to pay a little, you know you can call it protection money, or you can call
Yeah.
it money for thank you for letting me work business in your town. And it's also something that you might want to actually have, because if you have any trouble with any type of gangster or Yakuza group, they will come out and solve it for you.
What
So
what
yeah,
was what was your relationship with them? Did you have any relationship with them? Is it more just friendships? Like how did that all work?
when I first started fighting, no, I had no relationship with the Yakuza, except I did get into a big controversy with one of them. I actually had a fight with one of them. Yeah, so they kind of rough. They kind of try to strong arm people on the street. If you get into a little problem with them, they'll show either their finger missing or they'll show their tattoos, and most Japanese people will back down. And for me, I didn't understand that part of the society, and all I knew was whether you're a lawyer, or a doctor, or a gangster, or a yakuza, right is right and wrong is wrong. And if you're wrong, I'm not backing down.
Yeah.
So I had a big situation with one of them that I actually physically got involved with him.
How did that come
And
up? Like what did they do to you to piss you off?
I'm lucky because I knew somebody that was really high up. And when he found out that I was having problems with that Yakuza group, he came out and just in one phone call squashed it all.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that's pretty much my furthest associated with any type of Yakuza that in back in that day. But as Yakuza and any type of gangster, they love fighting. And my style of fighting, where I feel I could beat the devil himself if he's standing across the ring, and I would never ever. I'd rather die in the ring than give up or quit. And that type of attitude and that type of quote unquote samurai style is really attractive to the gangsters and the yakuza. So once I started fighting, you know, I got a lot of them befriended me. And they're there's all like any profession in the fights business, in the medical business, in the educational business, there's assholes,
Yeah, of
there's
course.
people that act stupid, there's nice guys, there's understanding guys, people who walk with loyalty and honor. And it's the same thing in the yakuza. You got punks, you got guys who try to throw their authority, guys that bully people, but you also have a lot of yakuza people who live by the code of honor, the code of the Yamato Damashi way. And that I for me as a fighter, when they would come to me, I was able to choose who I wanted to be with and who I wanted to interact with, because the ones who acted tough and the ones that tried to throw around their clout, every time they called to go out, I was busy.
Yeah.
So I could control that. So after I started fighting, that's when I started getting a lot of relationships with a lot of them.
Did any of these relationships put you in a situation that was uncomfortable, or in a situation where you had to do something you really didn't want to do, or you were able to control all that?
No, I actually I controlled my relationship with them.
Good.
Like for instance, when you first start a relationship with them, it's easy. You have to control it. So for instance, I'm not under them. I'm not one of their youngers. So I do not go and call. I do not jump at every call that they give. Ensign, we want to see you. Even if I had something to do, I cancel and I go to them. I wouldn't do that. Half the times like, sorry, I'm tired. I'm staying home tonight.
Yeah.
So I made sure I created that type of relationship where, in the beginning, when they really want to be friends with you, that's when you got to establish that.
Yeah.
So if I'm like going and jumping at every beckon and every call that they have, that's what I'm establishing. And that's when you run into problems, when they start expecting you to do things and be there for them. So yeah, I was able to control that. The only problem I did have by having a lot of relationships with them is back in the day, Shooto didn't want that reputation, although they did have a backing of Yakuza too.
Yeah.
They try to hide it, and they try to hide it, period. And then when my reputation got out that I was a fighter that had a lot of connections, they had like this huge meeting with all the commissioners in it, and they kind of almost like try to scare me into cutting all ties with the Yakuza.
Interesting. Interesting. So when you hear the stories of Pride's does my like Pride pretty much shutting down because of their relationship and the public being aware of that, is that true, or is that what was the stories with Pride and
Well, I'm not. I don't know exactly what happened, but I know there was a problem with Pride in the Yakuza group, and it became public. And I think I understand it had something to do with Fedor Emelianenko.
yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know exactly actually what the problem was, but when that went public, that's when all the sponsors that were sponsoring Pride had to turn away.
yeah,
It's a real funny society, Japan, because it's understood. People know. I mean, everyone in this town have met Yakuzas.
yeah,
They know that Yakuza's back most of the companies, especially big, fight associations or big companies. But for some reason, when it goes public,
they want
everyone's gotta turn their back. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird like that. Like you got if they're it's like Coca-Cola, say for example, Coca-Cola, they definitely have Yakuza connections. But it's not, if it ever goes public, all of a sudden Coca-Cola is going to lose all their sponsorships because of that. It's weird, and that's what happened to Pride. So that's where Pride just lost the TV contracts and all the contracts that actually helped them survive.